I am going to introduce the first panel of judges. Our first judge is Brad Svrluga. He is the co-founder and general partner at High Peaks Venture Partners. Give him a hand, our first judge. Our second judge is Joy Marcus. She's from DFJ Gotham. She is both a managing partner there and a venture partner there. And she is also an advisor to Women 2.0. Joy Marcus. Yeah. We have Jim Robinson, the managing partner from RRE Ventures, who is also here joining us this morning. Jim. And certainly last but not least, Ms. Laurel Touby, who's here. She's the founder of Mediabistro, an angel investor, and an all-around wonderful woman in this ecosystem. So we are so grateful to have you, Laurel. So I'm going to introduce our first company. Our first company is Clear Returns. Clear Returns comes to us from Glasgow, Scotland. They flew in today. And they are the intelligent, come on up and make sure everything's set up. They are intelligently protecting retail profit using predictive analytics to identify the product, customers, and behaviors driving apparel returns. I'm going to hand it off to Vicky.
Hello. Hi, I'm Vicky, this is Ellie, and we've spent our first night here in New York dumpster diving. Why? Well, we wanted to prove to you how we will save global retailers billions. Retailers are facing a problem, returned product. E-commerce worldwide, it's a $200 billion pain in the ass. And apparel retailers, they've got this worst of all. 1 in 3 garments sold online is sent back. 1 in 3. This wipes out profit margins, incurs an enormous amount of costs, and it leaves product out of circulation for those few precious weeks when it's on sale at full price and customer demand is at its peak.
Returns are a pain for customers too. We shoppers know that, and as this trash bag full of returns shows, it leaves retailers' profits in complete tatters.
So Clear Returns has the solution. Our predictive analytics technology looks for the signs of returns before they occur in the transaction. We spot problem products, we spot frustrated customers and carts that are full of returns. Then we trigger intelligent system responses that give the retailers time to act. Let's give you a few examples.
Katie spots the perfect dress online. Classic black elbow-length sleeves. She has to have it, so she buys it. A few days later it arrives, but wait. It has no sleeves. No sleeves. It's a bit more Kim Kardashian than Katie Holmes. She was sure the picture online had sleeves. When she double-checks, she was right. Disappointed, annoyed, deprived of her prize, she sends the dress back and badmouths the retailer in the process. That is a real example from our first test with a retailer. Our algorithm spotted that mistake, caused 500 returns, and cost $20,000. We gave them the opportunity to fix this. Then there's the problem of what size to buy online. I mean, you never really know, do you? I end up buying the 2, 4, and 6, knowing I can just return the ones that don't fit me. The retailer might think, wow, I've hit my sales targets, but in reality, 2/3 of that order is coming back. Clear Returns informs stock management while there is still time to act. We pass the relevant information to the marketing team to transform these returns into more sales.
Then there's our Scottish shopper, Heather. She's very sneaky. If she's got a big night coming up, she buys her outfit online, she goes out, wears it, had a great time, and then she sends it all back on Monday. Time and time again. See, we know how to shop in Scotland. Well, we do. Clear Returns can spot the signs of this. Now, next time Heather wants to borrow one of the expensive dresses, she might find it's out of stock. Or she may simply get a very friendly phone call from customer services asking her if everything is okay. Now, there hasn't been an effective solution to this problem for e-commerce until now. Our team has got a track record of turning data into profit. I'm CEO, and I started my career in retail intelligence. I was on the board of directors of the Digital Analytics Association for 4 years, alongside eBay and Expedia, and I was Google's first analytics trainer outside the US.
As a first-class fashion master's graduate, I bring fashion and retail expertise to the team. and I find it physically painful to see beautiful clothes being treated as trash. We're a perfect combination of fashionistas, analytics geeks, and business acumen. Clear Returns is early stage, but we've got traction. Tests with retailers have proved the predictive power of our technology. It works. We have a sales pipeline with retailers approaching us from the US, Europe, Singapore, and Mexico. And our next fantastic test customer is right here in the room. Give us a wave, pinks and greens.
Hey! So we're now raising a seed round so that we can expand our team, build out the technology so that we can service the global retailers that are approaching us and that are waiting to work with us. We will offer those customers a license fee-based model with the option of a performance-related pay. We'll boost their profit from day one, and they will see a return on investment within 12 weeks. Now, obviously, this is a competition, and we're here to win, but we want to win as a business even more. This is the fashion and retail capital of America. We know that you in the room are also connected, that you already know the people that we need to meet as a business. Please don't leave here today thinking, I wish I told them about this opportunity. Do come speak to us. Please pass us your warm introductions so that we can stop beautiful clothes ending up in the trash. Yeah, let's start to service shoppers better so that they can be returning to retailers for all the right reasons.
Thank you from Clear Returns, intelligently protecting profits.
And 5 minutes on the clock to the judges. Laurel, it looks like.
Oh, hi. I just picked this thing up. I don't know what it is. So who's the competition for what you're doing?
So there's internal competition where the retailers are building their own teams in-house. We would be in the position where we're seeing a more market view. We can scale our data and see not simply one retailer's behavior, but behavior across the market. There is a company in the US that focus on the offline world. They're particularly working in things like auto parts and consumer electricals, which also do have high returns rates. But we've focused very carefully on this niche because we think it's, in terms of e-commerce, there's still a big opportunity to tackle. And there's then, you can bring, at the wider sense of the competition, you can look at your Amazons who are trying to do end-to-end merchant services. But we've been out and met with the fulfillment houses and the retailers, and again, we can see a place where our solution fits in that mix for them.
So I think you did a fantastic job of describing the problem and a less fantastic job of describing the solution. Mm-hmm. I'm still not 100% clear on how it works. So can you give us maybe a specific perfect poster child example of the type of return you're going to create, how the technology works, and what the dollar implications are?
Yeah. So one of the examples that we see the products coming through that have got higher than statistically expected, not as described. Now, if something's coming back not as described, the customer has had a very unsatisfactory experience. They have simply not got the product that they've expected. So we can model that out and trigger responses that either look at the content, look at the product itself, because what can often happen is that it's a supply issue. The armholes haven't been cut well enough. There's actually something that hasn't been met in the production of the product. And we can trigger that a response out to the retailer so that they can tackle their supplier or that they can tackle their content on
So is it mostly based on the, whatever, spring collection data, we can better inform how we go forward in the summer and fall?
Yeah, the quickest, the people that need the fastest reactions are merchandise. So we have a whole view that is aimed at the merchandisers because they're making stock reordering decisions. If they have got returns coming back in a large way, it's likely on their most popular products. So their stock reordering over the next 28 days can be deeply affected by what the return rate on any line is. So we feed them the information fastest because they're about to make a business decision to buy or not to buy on more stock. They'll make a longer decision on whether next season they work with a different supplier or next season they try a different line. But it's that very short forecasting period where they're making a buying decision that they have to react quickest.
It can be real-time information in that sense, but it also gives a longer-term view of deeper issues. Perhaps it is a supply chain issue, so that they do get a broad scope, and then they also get real-time decisions that they can make instantly. So it's the best of both worlds in that sense.
So I am a self-confessed avid returner. I am one of those people who actually has worn something and returned it. There is a confession. I think I might get arrested after this. So my question is around market size. So can you help us understand sort of how big a problem it is for retailers and how much money they might actually throw at this and what, you know, just some sense of market size?
So wear and return alone in the US has been priced out as an $18 billion problem. We conducted consumer research in Europe where almost 1 in 4 people admitted to having worn and returned. And it was posted, we were quite surprised that people of that volume actually did admit it because, you know,
it is illegal.
It's a little embarrassing.
I think.
Yeah.
I only did it like once.
And it has this impact. There's a decay curve of a product. When a product comes back once, it's dramatically more likely to come back again because it's not pristine. So it kind of goes into this cycle of coming back more and more. So the margin on that profit line is wiped out. So it's trying to intercept those. We saw in our first test data a single customer who'd spent $80,000 in a year and had kept $200 worth of product. She was buying her week's shopping, her week's clothes, sending them back and buying another week.
So do you help them punish her?
Punish is a strong word.
Punish is a strong word, yeah. What we can do is instantly, at the point of transaction, what we do is inform the fulfillment house, as part of the barcode, we inform the fulfillment house that when this order comes back, which we know it will, they must pay extra attention to checking it, because they can't check everything.
I mean, you would think they would just ban that customer from ever shopping there.
If it comes to an extreme circumstance, they would, yeah, but there's a
I think you have to, we've tried to factor in, in terms of the algorithm, we wanted to factor in the cost of being wrong. So we could choose to block the transaction. We will give the retailer the right to set the rules, but it's quite a scary thing to block a transaction. Particularly as a customer is new and is working with us, it is much better for us to build up a track record of saying we were right 10 times and we're going to be right the next 10 times they do it. You know, what level do you now want to set the rule at?
Okay, so there's $18 billion. Do I have to stop?
Sorry, we are at time.
Okay, forget it.
So thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's give it.
Thanks very much.
So our next company is ActivityHero. ActivityHero is a social marketplace for kids and activities. They make it easy for busy parents to find, plan, coordinate after-school activities and summer camps. I'm going to introduce to you Chandni. Chandni comes from San Jose, and she is one of our finalists here today. Please give her a warm welcome.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, so right after the Scottish company, I'm very tempted to say, Mr. Homer Simpson, take your things, get out, and please come again. How's everyone doing this morning? Good. Am I too loud? All right. Good. What, like Rebecca didn't feed you breakfast? I'm not hearing anything. You guys doing well? All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Chandni, and my company, ActivityHero, is open table for kids' activities. We help busy parents find, plan, and reserve after-school activities and summer camps. So let me tell you what we've accomplished since we launched last September. We helped businesses make money. Oh, okay. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, I have to stop this. Do you know why the 16:9 is not working? It's not the resolution. It's the resolution on the... It's not this. All right, I'm just going to do this. No, yeah, they can't see half the slide. Let's see. It's not doing the builds, though. Unfortunately, I have a dramatic presentation. Because all the drama is lost. Which we're going to get They will? Okay. All right, so I'll go on. Sorry about that. But yeah, it's come up. Yeah. So anyway, since we launched last September, we helped businesses make money. We helped them make $1.5 million in bookings for summer camps and after-school activities. So that would have been a little more dramatic if everything had gone well. So I'm going to pick up now from like where we left off. Okay, and I'll tell you how we got started. Meet my co-founders, Shilpa and Peggy. Now, they're incredibly busy because they're engineers, and they also have 4 kids in elementary school. Now, this is the age these kids are discovering their passion, learning new skills, making new friends, and having fun. And actually, how many of you are parents here? Oh, lots of parents. Pretty cool. So as parents, you're trying to figure out whether your kid is a Michael Jordan or a Mozart, and if not anything else, you want to raise a well-rounded kid, right? So to accomplish these goals, parents like you spend $30 billion every year just on kids' after-school activities and summer camps. That's billion with a B. That's a lot of money you spend on your kids' activities and camps. But the way a busy mom goes about finding these classes, it's an iterative project management process. You know, it involves a lot of word of mouth and calling the vendors. It's frustrating and time-consuming. And let's take a quick break from this thread and take a look at David Scott. David runs Camp Imagineers in Mountain View, California. Now, he's passionate about teaching kids a can-do attitude. He teaches them about roadblocks, and if they persevere, that they can build rocket ships out of recycled egg cartons and packaging material, right? But he's got a problem. 1/3 of his class is not filled up, and he spends about 10 to 15% of his revenue trying to fill up the 1/3 of that class. And he, of course, spends it on the quarter-page ads or the online directory listings. And if he can figure out SEM, it's overwhelming and ineffective. Like the tools that he can use is ineffective, and SEM, such sort of tools are overwhelming for David. So we built ActivityHero, which is a 2-sided marketplace where the vendors like David Scott can go add their business information, and parents like Peggy or Shilpa can go look for, say, a drama camp for your 7-year-old daughter the week of August 14th within a 5-mile radius of your house, something that fits your schedule and budget. Right? They can also go figure out if there are sibling discounts and multiple session discounts and read reviews from other parents and enroll for the class. This is something that would have taken the parent ages until now, until our solution. So obviously, parents loved it. That was our traffic since the beginning of this year, and the most important part of this graph is that 100% of that was organic traffic. We paid $0 marketing dollars to get that traffic. And David was a very happy camper because he got 12 new students through us, and he paid us $11 for every student he got through our website. And he told us that he's been waiting forever for a website like ours, and that got us excited. So obviously, it wasn't just David, as we mentioned before. There was $1.5 million worth of bookings, and those are some brand names that you recognize who've paid us already, and they're renewing for the next year as well. They're repeat customers of ours. Okay, let me pause here to tell you that isn't even the most exciting part. The most exciting part is this. Kids' activities are inherently social, and what we are doing is building tools for parents to help them get recommendations from other parents, to help them co-plan activities with other kids, because little Timmy wants to go to karate class with his friend from school, and also to carpool and so on. So we're helping parents, connecting them in neighborhoods, in schools, in their local communities around kids' activities to help them plan this better. That is your local parent network. And you use this local parent network not just to find recommendations on your classes and camps, but you also use this local parent network to get recommendations on a whole host of other kid-focused local services. So that is LinkedIn for moms, LinkedIn for parents. This is a tool that's going to usher parenting tools which are stuck in the Stone Ages to the 21st century. This is the team that's making it happen. Peggy, my co-founder here, she was at Intuit working on small and medium business solutions. My co-founder Shilpa has been coding for 15 years, and I had a B2B and I do marketing. We're moms, we're engineers, we're salespeople, we're marketing people. We know what moms want. And here are some people who understand the potential of what we're building, so they've invested in us. I just want to point out, Mike Greenfield was the founder of Circle of Moms. Okay, so what am I here today? So I'll just finish it off because my time's up. We have this saying at our startup, it takes a village to raise a startup. So we're here today to invite you to come join our village for strategic partnerships with media, with brands associated with moms, for influencers, bloggers, for PR, and any investors here who invest in West Coast companies. If you're interested in parenting, marketplaces, small and medium businesses, come talk to us, come join our village and help usher parenting into the 21st century. Thank you. Oh, and I'd like to invite my co-founder, Peggy.
Peggy, if you'll come join us and leave it to the judges.
How much are you raising?
We're not raising at this point of time. We're not raising anything. We raised an advisory round. We're not fundraising currently.
Oh, you're not raising money?
No.
Okay. Why are you here?
Didn't
you just say you wanted investors?
No, I said we want to start a conversation with the investors that we will raise at some point of time. We are positioned to be a high-growth company. We will need money later, not right now.
Okay.
Better to start conversations now.
I looked at your website. It's really a good website. I looked at the other products out there, and I think you're fitting a market need. I couldn't find you in search, so I'm wondering, how you're getting found.
So we were live in San Francisco and Philadelphia. So San Francisco summer camps and Philadelphia summer camps. We were like in Philadelphia summer camps. I believe we were like the first or second result in Google, and San Francisco. That was the drama I expected earlier. Very delayed.
And my other concern is low barriers to entry. Now that you've identified that there's a need for this and you've created kind of the first, you're the first one out of the gate with a really good product, what's to stop someone with a little better funding from going out and marketing themselves and doing better SEO and getting all the traction you deserve?
So we've got, obviously, other than momentum, we've got a few things, key things, like the customer development lessons that we've learned, both from the user perspective and the vendor perspective. Because this is a fragmented market. Each of these small and medium businesses, you need to go get them one at a time. And we have optimized our process on how to acquire these people for $150 customer acquisition cost. So we do have our own secret sauces, which is a process which needs to happen to get something like this done.
So I have a couple of questions. The first is, I get the reference to OpenTable, although fundamentally there are significant differences, both in the beginning, the middle, and the end of your process. How do you deal with or think about both the discovery and the curation piece of it, and that ties directly into the demographics that you're targeting? So I'm curious about how you think about those three things.
I'd like to understand the question better. So what do you mean by discovery?
So when you're talking about, whether it's summer camps or events in the area, these are obviously local, hyper-local in many cases. How do you think about discovery, meaning those pieces that you're going to pick up, put in, which areas you're going to serve, what demographic of kids you're going to serve? Because, preschoolers have different needs, tweens and teens.
No, you hit the nail on the head. Yeah.
So how do you think about that?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. There is a whole host of local services that parents could be using. We are focused on parents with kids 5 through 12 years of age, only on recurring group activities, which is like after-school activities and summer camps, basically. That's where we're starting right now.
Right.
You are right, because the process for reservation and looking for events and for preschoolers, they're all very different from each other.
Okay, last question for me. Why is this different than just a lead gen business? I understand the lead gen component of it.
Right.
But how does this grow bigger than that, into something more than that?
So from a parent perspective, maybe Joy can tell us here, because if you have 3 kids and you're registering them for 4 different classes, that's 12 forms you have to fill out, right? With your emergency contact information, pick-up information, drop-off information. From a parent perspective, it's a big pain that we're solving by integrating registration with it. There's just one-click registration.
Got it. No, I've got 4, so I understand that. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out whether the model can scale beyond a certain size. But it's very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
So in terms of scaling, actually, so you didn't talk to the fact, but you now alluded to the fact that you are going local, right? So you're going city by city.
Right.
How are you doing that?
So the way that we go city by city, we started in San Francisco and Philadelphia areas as 2 big metros that we wanted to first start with and prove out the model. So the way we go to city by city is we first have parents curate the content for us, tell us what are some of the most popular programs out there, right? Try to hit that 80-20 rule of getting most of the programs that parents are interested in that age group. Then businesses find us, right? There are businesses out there who have had added their own listing. So we've built out each city like that, like in this process. Where
so you don't have folks sort of locally in the Philadelphia area sort of
what we have is a flexible workforce of stay-at-home moms who act as our sales team, act as our ambassadors to contact businesses and do the local sales. But we also have centralized sales, like I do have the relationships with the largest nationwide program operators out there.
So I think in general that marketplaces work best when they are one or more of low transaction value, highly time sensitive, or totally commodity products, airline flights, books, whatever. You're none of those. Long lead time, high transaction value, anything but a commodity, which I think tends to lead to consumers having a hard time feeling comfortable consummating transactions over the web and putting together the marketplace. Why am I wrong?
Well, so that fits perfectly well when you're looking for a pediatrician or a babysitter. You don't want somebody, it's more of a monogamous relationship. You have the babysitter come to your house, so there's more friction in that transaction. When you're sending your child to a group activity, like say a karate class, you just basically ask your local community that you're connecting, which is your neighbors and schools and so on, and to see if that's the right class, and then more effort goes into co-planning with other parents. So the reservation online, it is not as much as the friction. In terms of the intent, when they're looking for it, parents can spend like 8 to 32 hours planning out the summer. I'm sure there are parents here who can vouch that it is Excel sheets that you transfer between parents to figure out within your 8 weeks of summer, how are you going to get these 3 kids from that house and 4 kids from this house going to these 7 different camps. So it's a high effort process, so any kind of help. And it is search too, which is why SEO and SEM are good tools for us, because when their intent is strong, they do look for certain keywords.
With that, I'm going to have to call it. Everybody,
Thank
please thank ActivityHero team. So next up is the Muse. The Muse provides engaging job search and end-to-end career development for professionals. Here to present to you today from New York, New York, is Catherine Minshew.
Hello, everyone. I'm Catherine Minshew, and I'm excited to tell you today about the Muse. So we solve a very core problem for a lot of people, which is answering the question, what do I want to do with my life? This problem actually starts when you're a child. Most kids are told about a very kind of small subset of careers: lawyer, doctor, engineer, fireman. This is me, age 3 years old. I wanted to be a fireman. Not really based on much understanding about what a fireman actually does, but more based on stories I had read, a couple of people I had talked to, a relative I had who was a fireman. This is actually a problem that affects people, not only millennials straight out of college, but at all stages of their career. In fact, 80% of people in the US right now are estimated by the Bureau of Labor to be either actively job searching or opportunistically open to a new position. Company culture, who you're going to work with, who you're going to work for, is a tremendous driver of job satisfaction and of job changing, and yet it's very, very difficult to find this from most existing job products. We have a very broken system. If you go right now to Monster.com, for example, you can enter a keyword for the career you're looking for. You will get 40,000 job ads that look something like this. This is an employer branding fail. Prudential may be a great place for some of you in the audience to work for, but most of you will never know it because this ad tells you absolutely nothing. It's very uninspiring, it's transactional, and it's intent-based. For the most part, you have to be searching for it to find it. Even LinkedIn, which has actually done a very fantastic job of helping people connect to their professional networks, still falls short when it comes to letting people see inside a company, helping them understand what their life might be like if they worked there. This is LinkedIn's profile, this is Dell's profile on LinkedIn, and this is Dell's profile on the Muse. So our solution is very, very simple. we help people optimize their professional lives. This is our profile of AOL. We let you peek inside AOL's office, watch videos of the company culture, of people talking about what it's like to work there. You can click a further full page to link to their social media accounts to see more inside what the company is like on a day-to-day basis. And you can really delve inside the story of their people. For example, right here on the right, you see Lance. He's the editor-in-chief of Mashable. You can watch videos on our site of Lance talking about what he studied in college, how his career progressed, how he ended up at Mashable, and what he really likes about it. And then once you fall in love with the company, then you can discover their available jobs and apply to them directly through the site. If you're not entirely sure that you're ready to apply for a job, we also have crowdsourced career content from over 200 experts on topics like, how do I negotiate a salary? How do I deal with a bully in the workplace? When is the right time to change careers? And how do I go about giving my notice? We've created a very comprehensive solution that connects smart, engaged professionals with interactive profiles of fantastic companies, with crowdsourced content produced at no cost to us by hundreds of experts across the country, and with tremendously available jobs, which are recommended for them and data-driven based on their backgrounds. Our target market is really interesting. So for those of you who met us when we launched about a year ago, we were called the Daily Muse, and we targeted women ages 22 to 35 years old, a market that we knew very, very well. But what's been fascinating is how this has grown as our product has developed. While we initially attracted large numbers of these women, our more recent demographic is filled with men and women in their 40s and 50s who write us emails saying, I love this, and there's nothing else like this around. Why don't you do more for me? More jobs in cities where I'm located, more content for people who are looking at the C-suite. In the same way, we've seen a tremendous growth in the number of men on our platform, and right now it makes up around 30% of our total. The validation has been really exciting. We've reached over 2 million users in our first year, and 457,000 of them were active in October. Our jobs are available in 7 cities, and we expect international to be coming soon. And all of this growth has been spread by word-of-mouth talking, social circles, people telling their friends, I found this site and I think that maybe you could use it too. Now, the total addressable market is much bigger than where we are now. Recruiting has been described as the original marketing tool. It's a $60 billion market in the US alone. CareerBuilder, which is one of the largest online job boards right now, claims to have 300,000 companies as paying customers. And to give you a sense of what those companies are spending, some small businesses may only spend a few $100s a year on recruiting. But all the way up to a Fortune 500 company, the average spend is $7 million. Recruiting is a leading expense for companies across the US. These are a few of the companies who we're working with right now. We've seen a lot of enthusiasm from HR managers at Pinterest, at Warby Parker, at tech startups, at bigger companies, at nonprofits like Teach for America and NPR, and we have a tremendous pipeline on the way. Finally, the team. We were Y Combinator in January. We are ex-McKinsey consultants. We've worked at Google, at the Clinton Health Access Foundation in Rwanda, been to Harvard, Yale, Carnegie Mellon, and we really get this problem on a very, very deep and visceral level. So what's next? We're making key hires. We're incredibly excited for the growth that we're seeing going into 2013. We've closed a seed round, and we're going to be looking for our Series A in a few months. Thank you very much.
So we're going to pass off to the judges for 5 minutes of Q&A. Maybe start with Brad this time. Yay, I see it. He's got it in his hand.
This is my co-founder, Melissa, by the way.
And her co-founder, Melissa, has just come and joined her.
Thanks for that. So is it a platform sale to the employer?
So when we go to the employer right now, we have one, I can't screw the cap on the mic. We have one basic product, which is the 5-page company profile. We send a professional photographer into their offices to take all of the photos. It costs us around $50, and the employers obviously pay a monthly subscription fee. So right now, of the 60 employers we're working with, they're paying from $350 to several thousand, depending on what they want and what the size of the company.
Per month?
Per month, yes.
And when you think about the kind of fully realized vision for the product in a Fortune 500 company, how much money do you think you get out of them in a year?
So for the higher end product, I think we're getting, ideally we'd like to be getting several $1 million a year. The companies, especially on the bigger end of the spectrum, are asking us for, can we have a page where we tag our local events? Can we have a page where our HR managers can update with news? Can we take the entire company profile that you've created and white label it on our own site? Can we have a Q&A where people can type in questions and our employees can answer them? So there's a lot on the employer side that they've been asking for and that they've expressed a willingness to pay. And we're kind of working to see what makes sense to do first, because being a small team, we're trying not to run in every direction at once.
And is it incremental spend, or are you replacing something that they're doing today? Because getting new dollars out of HR is a pretty hard thing to do.
Yeah, no, we replace a lot of the money they're spending on Monster, to be honest. And some of those other sites. One of the big problems that a lot of existing job boards have is that they don't have any young people. So a big selling point for us with employers is the number, the kind of strength of our audience under 35 years old. When you look at the demographics of a Monster, for example, their women's population, I think the average age is 44. For companies that are looking to hire across the spectrum, they're obviously still spending money there, they're spending money with LinkedIn, but they're taking a lot of that money and spending it with us.
I was going to ask about the competitive landscape. So beyond Monster and LinkedIn, like kind of where do you fit in terms of how an HR person is going to think about you? And you may have just addressed that, but is there more in the landscape that we should? And also for folks looking for jobs, where do you fit in? Mm-hmm. Like why why go to you rather than Monster or somewhere else?
Yeah, that's the easier one, so I'll answer that first. People who are looking for jobs tend to spread us to their friends like a contagion. So on Monster, which I spent a lot of time on in my previous job, you can enter a keyword and you'll get 40,000 results with a logo and 2 paragraphs of text. And the text says, we're a really innovative, results-driven environment looking for team players.
And so does every other one.
Exactly.
The other thing is when you go to monster.com, you have to enter something. You have to enter a keyword. You have to go in knowing what you're looking for. One thing we let our users do is come to us saying, I want to work for a great company, but I don't know where to start. I can start browsing. I can actually do this window shop my career the same way I would window shop or browse through a store, find what I want and get excited about it, rather than having to know going in, I want to be in marketing, I want to be in communications.
We actually had a lot of interest from users in this kind of career pathing question. So if you've got a background in finance, but you read a lot of our content on tech startups, maybe there are startups that are hiring for financial positions that you should be looking at. Similarly, we discovered, for example, if you like this company, you may also like these other companies. And bringing some of the best of e-commerce, of discovery, and of browsing to the career experience, which honestly shouldn't be all that different. It should be a much more fun and pleasurable experience than it is today.
So what kind of resources are you putting behind customer acquisition? You have 60 employers now. How many salespeople went out and got these 60 employers, and how long did it take?
So I did about 80% of them while doing marketing and PR and a bunch of other stuff. We had, so a good number of the companies come to us. Every single time we're in the press, I was on Bloomberg, things like that, people will write in and they say, I saw this, I want it, how much is it, how do I get on? We also have, since I guess this summer, we have one salesperson on the West Coast who's done kind of cold outbound lead gen, can close around 2 startups a week. And then I, depending on how much time of mine that I devote to sales, do a lot of the bigger companies. And it's interesting, we generally tend to, like if you can just get the right person to look at your email, we can kind of go all the way to the head of HR, and in a surprisingly large number of places we either get approved or they say, I'm building this into my budget for next year.
And have you also approached marketing? Because the PR department can see this as a...
So the PR departments love us, but they do not want to pay for us. So marketing and PR, they do not want to pay. So we actually right now are looking at doing a couple of kind of targeted comps of companies that, or nonprofits in particular, that we really want to have on the platform that are unlikely to be paying customers. But for nearly everyone that spends, if they spend money on recruiting somewhere else, they should spend money on our platform. And therefore we tend to go through HR and talent.
And what about other revenue streams? You have a lot of traffic, so can you monetize those people at all?
We definitely could. We actually hear repeatedly from our users that they love that we do not have advertising. I mean, we did local meetups in 10 cities around the country.
Membership. Charge them something. Yeah. Some of them for upgraded services or classes, meetups, job fairs, things like that.
In the long-term plan, we've actually talked a lot about so many of our users, they're in place X in their career and they want to get to place Y. So a lot of them, they're willing to pay for classes, for professional development, for anything that will get them the skills they need or sometimes the certifications they need to get to that next place. We haven't built it out yet, but it's definitely in the kind of late 2013, early 2014.
And with that, I'm going to have to call time. Thank you. Oh.
I'll make it very quick. So, two kinds of folks come to these sites, and you've portrayed Monster, which is a 1.0 version of this. There are many, many others that are much more rifle shot. Those that are in the discovery side, trying to figure out what they might like, and they want lookalike analysis. They want to see things that may or may not be within the vertical they think they're good at. But that means a big front end. That means a lot of quizzes, a lot of questions they've got to answer, which is great on the one hand for you and bad on the other, in that some people will bounce off the glass with that. And so I'm curious how you think about that in defining your verticals. And the second piece of it is, it's fine to show a lot of content, but brands are incredibly sensitive about their content, their videos, their pictures. And so you need buy-off from them. You might not if you're small enough, but at some point, that's a factor.
No, we get buy-off for every single profile. Whoever the company decides will sign off, It's interesting, I mean, we've had a couple of situations where they'll say, can you remove that picture of the guy chugging beer and replace it with one of people at their computers? And that's a very easy fix for us to do. But in the first question, so I think there is the track. There's people who say, I want to take quizzes, I want to give you a bunch of personal information. There's also people who say, I don't want to bother with any of that, but I'm willing to read 20 articles. And so the content for us is actually a really core part, because a lot of our users come back every single day, whether or not they're job searching, because they want to read about how to work from home, how to deal with a bully boss, all of these different things. And so as they're choosing what to read and engaging with that, we think there's really interesting data points that can be picked up there to say, oh, like, so funny that you're reading this article about subscription boxes. Did you know Birchbox is hiring?
Great. We are gonna leave it there. Thank you guys so much,
Thank you.
Catherine and Melissa. So we're going to transition now to our fourth company. Our fourth company is NewlyWish. They are an online wedding registry gifting service that unites independent shops and brands with couples creating gift lists. They come to us also from New York, and Amanda Allen will be presenting.
Thank you. A few years ago, when we were planning our own wedding, like many couples, we spent a lot of time and energy finding just the right venue, invitations, and dress. But when it came to registry, we found that our options were limited. In fact, none of our favorite local shops even had online registry, and we ended up at the big department stores like everyone else. After the wedding, I asked myself the question, since no two brides are the same, why shouldn't the registry be as personal and unique as every other part of the big day? There are over 2 million weddings in the US each year, which drives the $19 billion registry market. And with the growth of Gen Y, the number of Americans reaching marrying age is projected to increase by 20% over the next 10 years. However, the market is currently dominated by about 10 department stores. And yet there is still no full-service registry that allows creative gifting options and supports small businesses. Clearly, a market that's ready for disruption. A market that's ready for NewlyWish. NewlyWish is a multi-merchant digital marketplace for brands, boutiques, and artisans. Our seamless platform makes registering fun for couples and shopping easy for their guests. NewlyWish works like this. First, we work with our online retailers to integrate a curated selection of products into our platform. Couples then browse NewlyWish and create a single gift list regardless of the number of merchants they choose from, and then share their unique URL with friends and family who shop the site. NewlyWish captures payment and provides a single point of contact for customer service. And our technology automatically updates the registry and informs both the customer and the retailer of the purchase made. But one of the things that makes NewlyWish really special is that beyond registry staples like fine china and kitchen equipment, we host unique categories like eco-friendly and experience gifts, things like cooking classes, interior design services, and even tickets to sporting events. Since our beta launch in May 2010, we've integrated over 6,000 SKUs from 50 small businesses. Over 1,000 couples have created registry profiles on our site to date, and our story has resonated in the media with coverage in over 40 print and online publications. NewlyWish is free for couples to use and for guests to make purchases. Our primary source of revenue is a net sales margin on all items purchased through the site. Our sales have just about doubled year over year, resulting in $180,000 in gross sales, with a total investment to date of $170,000. Our projected performance goals include creating 200, 600, and 2,400 converted registries over the next 3 years, which will generate revenue of over $2.1 million. And beyond the large, growing, and recession-resistant industry, our room for growth is significant, first in the wedding industry and then in other popular gifting verticals like baby registries. But in order to maintain the momentum of our business, we need help in a few key areas. Optimizing our success relies on both increasing the number of registry accounts created as well as our registry conversion rate. To accomplish this, we're seeking $500,000 in funding, which will be invested in the following ways. Growing our consumer base by expanding our offerings in key urban centers where our primary audience resides, like San Francisco, LA, and DC. UI and UX improvements to make registering, searching, and shopping easier and more intuitive. A Ruby on Rails upgrade and web services API for easier merchant onboarding. Marketing and social media optimization to increase and improve our presence on the most popular wedding blogs and major bridal magazines. And lastly, key hires to support projected growth. Our increasing brand presence and steady growth are just a few results of our strong technology base and dedicated core team, which include myself and co-founder Robard Williams, Mark Bartlett, our CTO and creator of over 30 e-commerce sites, including those of Gucci and Isaac Mizrahi, and Kate Imbach, our style editor and merchandising manager. On behalf of NewlyWish, I'm Amanda Allen, and I thank you.
Great product, necessary service, like the design, like the traction so far. I think you need much more than $500,000. Why did you just decide on $500,000?
Sure.
I mean, I think, you know, when we first launched the company, our concept was really to bootstrap our way through, and we thought that we could really grow on a marginal basis. We picked 500,000 because that feels like, and from the work that we've done, also informed by what we've seen so far, that will get us a good leg up in terms of a strong marketing start, as well as to make some needed technology investments. So that was really how we came to it, based upon what we've done so far and what we think can get us over the edge for the next step.
So I was one of the original investors in Wedding Channel. This is some time ago now. It was too early. It was in many ways, but a couple of the problems still persist. One is, by definition, it's a one-and-done model unless you plan to expand into other life event categories. And so by definition, you've got a capped opportunity set. And secondly, although in the early days we tried the local piece of it, and granted, it was a different era, although it's not today at not, right? One of the problems with that was it's a lot of high touch at a localized level. You've really got to get in and find the smaller businesses. And the 80-20 rule historically applied, where frankly, you know, most want to shop from the 20% that are the biggest, and yes, there are some of those that want to support the local, but it's a harder case. So I'm curious how you think about the one and done proposition, and which is a scale issue ultimately for you, and then secondly, how you think about the SMB and reaching them locally.
Yeah, so I'll talk a little bit about the one and done, because that's been something that we've been grappling with. There's two pieces to that. One is trying to maximize what we can get out of our bridal customers. And there we've really tried to push into more bridal accessories and wedding party gifts, as well as favors and welcome bags. But also the idea of, you know, this is sort of part of our vision going forward, is really trying to make a connection with this couple. That they're making a connection more than with the brand of Le Creuset or KitchenAid, and with the shops that they're shopping from. And I think a lot of the positive feedback that we've gotten has been from two key groups. One are the folks who love local, and interestingly, the folks who love green. And those are very local and a very loyal group of people. The way that we're going after the local piece is less on the products and more on the services. Even though it's a smaller portion of our total sale per registry, people really like, one of our biggest hooks is really the idea of being able to get cooking classes. Dancing lessons are incredibly popular on our site, and the approach that we're taking right now, because we're very conscious of avoiding brand collision, is really getting local sort of reps for us, starting with LA right now, right? And she's going around and finding more sort of local well-known services around the LA area, as well as a couple of people who do things like gift baskets, for example, things that are unique and different, because there's no reason for us to have 12 shops who sell exactly the same knives or exactly the same pots and pans. And we've really dealt with that by we have relationships with retailers, and then we also have a lot of relationships with manufacturers. So for example, with Waterford Wedgwood, we went straight to them as opposed to doing it through a local shop, but we put our own twist on it by designing and developing our own patterns with them. And so that's really where how we're trying to deal with the local. And then obviously we think that the next step would be babies, and really get a stronger hook with these couples. And then hopefully, and this is one of the conundrums that we're facing, is that especially online now, people are so used to this discount model, and I'm not sure how or if we can compete with that, except for maybe through some kind of a membership where after you've gone through your registry with us, you get a special username or code which gets you a discount going forward. But that is definitely a big challenge.
So this sounds a little bit hard. Both as the person who's signing up for it, getting married, and also as the person who's trying to get a gift for that person. So for me, what's been so great, I've actually gone to a bunch of weddings lately, and I've used Wedding Channel because it's really simple. It's really boring, but it's really, really simple. I plug in the name of the couple. I don't even have to remember where they're registered or search for that email. I just plug in the name of the couple. They tell me they're registered. 2 seconds later, I'm Amazon primed them, whatever the heck they want. And I'm done. It's like 30 seconds. So, but I get the value of sort of the interesting product and different offering, tremendously valuable. Would you consider, how are you thinking about that? How do you think about making it easier? And would you consider sort of partnering, maybe not, I don't even know if it exists beyond the Wedding Channel, but with someone bigger that would be like a one-stop shop, even like a large retailer, say, would be a one-stop shop for the stuff that the couple might want to fill in, or that the buyer of the gift might find something they want to give if it's not this sort of, I don't know.
There are a couple stores, for instance, Nordstrom's, who doesn't have their own wedding registry, and we're going to be speaking to them later this fall about doing an on-site event there. We've partnered with a local company called the Wedding Channel and, Wedding Library. Thank you, Wedding Library. And so we're going to be doing we're looking forward to forming strategic partnerships where there are natural synergies and we're not having competing products with one another. So to answer your question, certainly keeping our eyes open and taking all phone calls and exploring those options.
And then from a technology point of view, part of what we want to invest in is enhancing the usability and the user experience to optimize that inflow so that for both the registrant and the purchaser, we have that simple 1, 2, 3 and you're done model so that we ease some of the confusion. Because it is mechanistic to create and curate a registry, we want to bring to bear some more of the innovative user experience features to facilitate and have that process be much more seamless and instant for both sets of users.
Very fast comment, not a question. I don't think you're being nearly ambitious enough. If I invested $500,000 in this business and you took 3 years to get to 2,400 registries, I'd be disappointed. So I think you really need to rethink. It's a big market. You're either going to make it work or not. I think you need to aim higher.
Great. We're going to let it be done at that. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to Robard and Mike, and also to Amanda. Our last team today, last one, is Maternova. Maternova is a path-breaking global marketplace and online community aggregating life-saving health technologies to save mothers and newborns. They come from Providence. I want to introduce Meg Worth and Allison Coate.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, judges.
Hi. Good morning. And I want to thank the judges and Women 2.0 for this incredible opportunity. My name is Meg Worth, and I'm a co-founder of Maternova. You know, the idea for Maternova began in Indonesia when I was starting my career in global women's health. Unbelievably, towards the end of my time there, one of the obstetricians, a leader in the project, died while giving birth. For me, this was really a turning point, at which point I devoted my career to finding better solutions for women. When I met Allison and learned about her track record in building successful startups, and in particular a Web 2.0 health startup, I knew we were the perfect match. And together, we decided to make it our business to innovate more quickly for women. You know, childbirth is unbelievably the leading cause of death for women in dozens of countries around the world. And let's put this into perspective. It is actually a $15 billion addressable market for us, the expenditures in the lowest income countries of the world on these products and technologies that we seek. We also know there is an explosion of demand for women's health from the women and the countries themselves. There is also an explosion of innovation coming out of labs, startups, and schools around the world. We have the pipeline, we have the demand. What is missing is the funnel and the marketplace in between. We want to build the click and ship model, an Amazon.com-like model, to bring technologies and accelerate the distribution model and disrupt this age-old industry. Maternova is that solution.
So at this point, I'm sure many of you may be thinking that this sounds like a fantastic idea, but it also sounds an awful lot like a charity, right? So let me explain how Maternova is going to become a contender in a $15 billion market. On the left, you'll see our product sales. Now, when we built out our marketplace, we actually were able to negotiate price points well below retail because of our established global brand. And then we also add to that different points of sale and different ways for people to be able to get those. We add, in our second circle, the additional revenue generated through our collaboration platform, and I'll explain that in a little bit more detail on the next slide, that can be offered on either a subscription basis or on a per project basis, and now Maternova is able to realize two distinct revenue streams. We're also adding an additional group purchasing item, and this is really important because it's going to allow smaller groups to be able to access very much needed but very hard to get items like micronutrients because they need to be purchased in such large quantities. And what is it that actually is going to make us a leader in the industry? And I really believe wholeheartedly that at this point we have cornered the three critical C's needed to be successful in the market. We have collaboration, we have content, we have commerce. These are actually examples underneath that you'll see of groups that I thought and Meg thought, you know, did a remarkable job at it, but no one's brought all three together. The last piece is something we were excited about, and this is our collaboration platform. All the devices that save lives in the world are great, but you also need to be able to talk about them, share best practices, host clinical trials, host case studies. And what we did is we built in a network that uses social networking, social incentives, gaming, influence mapping, and innovation tracking. So now we're connecting people all over the world, we're saving more lives, and we're doing it much more quickly. And you can see it has not gone unnoticed, I'm very pleased to report. You'll see some of our recent accolades on the bottom banner. We also just won the grand prize for the Live Plan Boost competition, judged by Guy Kawasaki. But you know what? Let's talk about who our customers are. Because our customers are the large government agencies. They're the hospitals, they're the clinics that are flooding the emerging and developing economies. And we know that most of them only want to go to one source when they're looking for certain supplies. So we're able to do customizable packs, we streamline the process, and you can see we're actually doing pretty well doing that. This theory has actually proven to be very successful. We have over 70,000 people engaged on our platform from over 170 countries, 75 client organizations, and we've shipped into 24 countries already. So I think we're on the right track. It's very exciting. And let's talk a little bit about this.
So we believe we are the right team We both have experience in global health and in building. Allison has experience in two Web 2.0 companies with a powerful advisory team from both business and the scientific world. And finally, we have raised our seed round. We do seek an additional $500,000 to reach our next set of milestones, which include a mobile app, building out our platform, reaching an additional 20 countries, and expanding our product base. We know that the right investors are out there among you who want to build a new kind of business in a sustainable way to change the odds for women. And we want to thank you for everything you will do for women and that you have done thus far. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You discussed a lot about your numbers, but you never gave your revenues, your current revenues for this year.
Yep. Well, we are a new company. We have increased 100% over last year, and we can
From
talk.
what to what? Is that
we were sort of prepared to talk about that offline.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we'd be happy to do so.
No problem. How are you getting customers? I mean, this is a hard thing to do, to get people to come to a new site like this. How are you building traffic?
Well, what we do is we started our company with building content. And so people come to us now as really the market leader in innovation for obstetric and newborn health for low and middle income countries. And we're used by all of the major universities from MIT to Stanford to those in India. And we built up, I think, our reputation that way. And so now we are reached largely through organic search. Everyone's online, everyone's on mobile in the poorest countries, in the middle income countries of the world, and they find us largely through organic search, though we are doing more and more aggressive marketing by partnering and getting on the procurement lists of major suppliers to these countries, including relief organizations, the UN, and private hospital chains, as well as distributors out of South Africa and Hong Kong.
Yeah, and just to add to that, we also have been doing, a combination of inbound and outbound marketing. So we are looking to, one, our content is our strength. It allows us to be able to share something that we're well known for. So our plan is to kind of use that to engage people, to have them, ultimately come to us, and that's what's been working well.
So just first, a point of clarification so that I understand. You identify a given area and you put together in a box physical goods that you then ship to a region.
So that's a great point. We actually started that way.
Okay.
With one offering. And what happened is that people wanted more and more products. So we learned and we iterated, and now we sell 20 products, we're moving to 100 products. We also learned that because of trade, export, import, et cetera, that we needed to be drop shipping. So we're drop shipping, and that's going to be the model moving forward. So moving from 20 to 100 products to drop shipping right now from 5 locations in 4 continents. We will continue to do that, potentially having a base in South Africa and Hong Kong ourselves so that we can do that most efficiently and take products from the manufacturer directly and ship them to the end user.
Okay, so still more efficient, but nonetheless what we call a cash-out model, meaning some amount of inventory, pre-procurement has to be in field and ready to go.
Yes, although people are used to waiting 4 to 6 months. So if we're waiting 2 months for a manufacturing, we're actually providing them better value and getting them access to the product more quickly than they can get it right now.
Okay. And second, as it relates to distribution in country, and particularly within second and third world environments, I mean, you know how tricky that is.
Yep.
I assume you're relying on some of the NGOs and other support systems, but there's an awful lot of politics and an awful lot of boxes that slip and disappear.
Absolutely.
How do you manage and measure that?
Yep. So we do deal with corruption and some loss and damage. It is unfortunately part of doing business. We try to reflect that actually in our costs, and I think we'll learn a lot as we go. But we have already learned quite a bit from getting it to the last mile in 24 countries. We really pick our partners in country carefully. We are not building the last mile distribution. We're working with amazing groups like Riders for Health and others who do build that last mile. But what they don't have the time to do is to look online and keep track of 200 innovations and find out when they're ready to go to market and get them. So we're like their agent, finding it, getting it to them, they take it to the end user.
So again, for me also a point of clarification, is your model to sort of take the fee for aggregating, the knowledge essentially for the local, hospitals or whoever, healthcare providers, and how slim is that, especially since it strikes me that in some cases maybe you're competing with free because the hospitals
Sometimes.
are getting this stuff, they're not getting adequate supply. And first of all, kudos to you, we should all say, for this. This is amazing, and this is what the world needs, and thank you for doing it.
Thanks.
But just as a business, which is, so you're competing with free, it strikes me a lot. And so how much, I know you don't want to talk gross numbers and revenues, but how much what's the model of how much you're taking?
It's a great question. First of all, we do compete with free, but unfortunately a growing body of evidence shows that free is not always good. So if you send a CAT scan from New York Presbyterian over for free, it doesn't work, so it's actually worse than free. There is growing literature on that. We are distributing innovative, disruptive technologies specifically designed for these environments. So it's a very different offering that we give. We also have 40 to 50% margins. So what we do is we negotiate. We are, a new kind of distributor. So we negotiate with the manufacturers and the entrepreneurs to give us varying stake in the company, the product, or a geographic distribution area, and we get a margin of 40 to 50%. Does that answer?
These presumably are not just I'm pulling out my credit card transactions, right? A lot of complicated funding systems. Is that a barrier?
Well, I can say, for what we're typically doing, we're kind of looking for customers on a couple of tiers. We have our individual clinicians who can come kind of doing one-off or on a regular basis. We're also responding to RFPs and bids, and then groups. So with this, it's something that we handle individually. Everything's customized and personalized, and typically on average orders can be anywhere from 10,000 and up. For quantity. So it has not been cost prohibitive. We also get onto a regular billing cycle with our existing clients.
And again, we want to change the way business is done in this industry so that there isn't so much red tape. We want to remove the red tape, and in fact, people at the Gates Foundation and elsewhere have said this is what's needed, is remove the red tape and make it easy to get product A to point B. You don't need all of these 8 agencies in there setting up shop for 5 years.
Okay, I have to call it. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to Maternova, to Meg and Allison. Thank you to our amazing judges. If you'll just stay with us for 1 second.